So, Mark, we've talked about all the big advertisers on the Sphere, but they finally got the big one, the big dog, the Big Mac, the Chicken Big Mac.
Talk about needing money. If there's another case that they are looking to make some money, you just have to look at this. I mean, it looks cool. It's definitely the most unique ad for McDonald's I've ever seen, just because of where it's at. But yeah, such a money grab.
The shape is perfect, though. Depending on the angle you saw, it did look exactly like a hamburger.
Yeah, and now the Hamburglar's got to come in and steal it. I don't know. That was bad.
So I'm pissed. I've lived in Las Vegas for more than 30 years, and you're telling me that I've missed the Northern Lights 3 times this year and didn't hear about it, but apparently the Northern Lights were here again last week. I know not just in Vegas, but other places as well. What is
Everywhere.
going on that the Northern Lights are happening, and then I'm an idiot for missing them?
I mean, you just have to like pull up Facebook. Did you see that meme of like Nickelback? Look at this photograph video, and it's got everybody on Facebook right now, and it's Northern Lights pictures. It was kind of crazy. It's got to a point that it's annoying now. I don't even want the Northern Lights anymore because it's just like every feed for everything is just people taking pictures of the same thing. I say that in jest because it is pretty cool and unique, and we don't normally get this many opportunities at it. Sad enough, I was like in Salem, north of Boston, when it was going on, so I didn't see it either again.
I guess I need to spend more time on Facebook because I see all the stuff on Twitter afterwards, but I never see the warning saying, hey, go look for it.
Yeah, I think, that's where I normally see it is Facebook. I'm in there a lot for work, so you see it, and just people posting nonstop. And maybe like Twitter's algo is kind of weird. It shows you a whole bunch of stuff that you don't want to see. So maybe that's the problem.
Got to get me back on Facebook. But I did go over to the Venetian this week. We're going to talk later in the show about G2E and all the slots. A lot of takeaways from there I'm excited to share. But we did the status match, and not a lot to share here other than it works exactly as expected. And you get the benefits that we talked about previously, and you don't get the ones that are good. And they know everything is going on, so no big problem with getting it matched. If you're a new member, they do have like a random slot offer that you get. So Jasmine got $15 in free play. And we decided not to both match because I decided to just wait. Maybe in the future I want it. There's really nothing that we need to duplicate here, and she got free parking, so that all worked out well.
So you got $15 and you turned it into $0, or how'd it go?
Exactly, $0. Proud,
As expected. Yep. That's what you got to do, especially if you got to play through it once. $15 on these slots with, not the real pays. You need to hit a bonus. It's kind of tough to get anything going off of that, but we've talked about people on 75, your wife, 75 cents, $750. So you never know. It's worth a fun few minutes, but most likely at $15, you're going to walk away with not much.
And to be clear, they don't want you just gambling the $15, obviously. The whole point of this is for them to get business. But we didn't gamble a lot. We did G2E. We'll talk about that. But I did want to update on Vegas Loop. There's a lot of news with Tesla this week. And starting off with, there's been a lot of trespassing incidents in the Vegas Loop tunnels, including 67 of them since 2022, including 22 vehicles that have followed Teslas into the tunnels since 2023. And they say most of those people are innocent, but do you believe that? Like, I would play dumb, just follow them in and then, oh, I didn't know.
I mean, I think that's part of the problem with them using regular Teslas and people driving it. Like, it just looks like, all right, this is traffic. We're going underground to go to a parking garage or something. I could see people getting confused and turned around. Maybe they need better signage. Part of it is it looks like a regular car driving in a regular spot. So I can see maybe not all like 22 of 23, but I can see quite a few people getting turned around.
Apparently only one of them actually got into the tunnels and then, completed the cycle. So good for that person. I mean, figure if you're already there, you might as well just keep going. What are they going to do to stop you? Get that experience. But I can see people being nervous down there in the tunnels with as narrow as they are, driving their own car. Probably not a good idea.
Yeah, I wonder if it was like a rust bucket or something that just stands out. I mean, if you have a Tesla, then you could maybe fit in there and pick some people up. I don't know, but I wonder if the person filmed it, because isn't that 2024 where you film yourself doing a crime so that you can later get arrested for said crime? The stupidity levels are very high right now.
That is 2024. Tell on yourself on social media. But there was a more with Tesla. They announced this week, they had this big event in Hollywood, and they announced their robotaxi, which is a 2-seat fully automated taxi coming sometime in the future. And then they have their robovan. And I believe this is the vehicle that was leaked that was somewhere here in the Boring Company tunnels before. We talked about this sometime last year. There was a leaked photo. But this is the future of maybe mass transit and probably coming to Vegas Loop at some point. seats a lot more people, and you can kind of see how this could work on a Vegas loop system.
Yeah, you know what it kind of looks like? A mini
What?
tram car. Like the
But it's
design,
futuristic.
everything.
Like the wheels are
What we
covered
all
and it looks
wanted.
like a bullet.
Just put a
It's
tram in
so
the tunnel and we're good.
it's so futuristic though. I think it's a good solution, and obviously we don't know when this is coming. A lot of this stuff is in the future. They also debuted a robot that they say will be an AI robot, and there was bartending and conversations that we're having. And then it came out on social media that they were human controlled. So they're saying someday AI will control these robots, which look pretty cool, like the movement they have and the technology there looks pretty cool. But behind the facade was a human controlling them.
Yeah, which kind of takes away from it. And you could kind of, I got that sense from the conversation, like it felt too human, the talking and everything, that it just didn't seem like a robot speaking. I mean, they move slow. I know this is like early on in this process, but definitely not. I don't think you have to worry about bartenders being replaced anytime soon. It looked like a slow process to get the drink out. Like you could imagine people would be very upset if this is the way it worked in the real world. But are we going to see Westworld like in real life in the next 20 years? Is that where we're going?
I do think that's where we're going, but somebody on Twitter pointed out that an AI bartender is not going to comp your drink when you tell them your sad sob story. So the future isn't all so bright.
They're also not going to pocket the cash, when you pay for your drink.
Yeah, or overpour, or
Yeah.
a lot of changes coming in the future for us.
Yeah, it's a new frontier, man. There we go.
So this one is quick and kind of dumb, but on a couple shows ago, you talked about where all the coins go in the Bellagio fountains, and we found out at Planet Hollywood Miracle Mile shops at the rain show, somebody just gets in, wades around, and picks them up.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that happens probably at the Caesar's fountain too. When you think, I mean, if Bellagio wasn't so deep, I could see it happening there too. But yeah, this is kind of not what you want to see when you walk around the mall. Not the best look. I'm sure they come in, especially at Bellagio. I'm sure they have divers come in once a year, twice a year, something like that, and clean it all up.
Are you telling me that this guy wasn't authorized? He looks official.
Yeah, totally. Doesn't he have like a plastic bag? Doesn't he carry? Like he just went shopping. He's like, I'm gonna fill up this bag with some coins.
So let's take a quick break from the show to tell everybody about our new show, MTM Travel. People know we have the 20-minute travel channel. We do our news show every week there, but we also have the MTM Travel podcast now. This is our long form podcast, 40 to 60 minutes, us talking travel, some Vegas in there, a lot of fun stuff, our stories, our best advice. It's going to be a fun time. We hope everybody will join us on 20-minute travel on Mondays for MTM Travel, the podcast.
That's a lot of shows.
So link in the description, check it out. Your favorite topic, Mark, bed bugs, and there was some in the news, some bed bugs found in the last few months at Bellagio and Resorts World, Cosmo, and the Hilton Grand Vacations. But in researching this, I found this story about this lady who's suing Strat for bed bugs from 2022, saying it caused all kinds of emotional trauma for her. And yeah, so look out for this. But as a reminder, there's like so many hotel rooms and millions of travelers, and we see a report here and there that shows you how rare it really is.
You look at this, you're like, oh, Bellagio, Cosmo, I love those places. Do I want to stay there anymore? And this is just like, if you travel, you're going to be around in or around bed bugs at some point. It just is what it is. And they are not, they don't just go to seedy motels. They're anywhere. If somebody has them and brings them in, they're there. Now they're there. They might not catch them, for the first couple people that come through the room. Sadly, it's something that it's hard to find until you get like more of an infestation. Some hotels will bring in like dogs that sniff, once a week or whatever, but there could be a couple days in between that before they find anything. So I think they do a fairly good job. It's, of course you can't do a great job. It's sad when it's like really bad and that somebody had to have seen it and did nothing about it. But for the most part, if there's a couple here or there, it's going to be hard to find. But shout out to our like 10th video on the channel when we were talking about inspecting bed bugs.
Yeah, that's why I love talking about bed bugs. We can always give a shout out to that video and get it a few more views. I don't know. We did a video in New Orleans, Mark checking for bed bugs in the room and what he does. Have you ever heard of somebody suing a hotel over getting bit by a bed bug?
No, and I don't think you really can, and unless it's like a known problem. Like let's say you knew that they had multiple complaints and it still happened, and because if you do bring them home, it's a big process and it costs a lot of money, either time or money to eradicate them from your house. So I could see that being an issue.
One last thing I have to say, the Spanish word for bed bugs, chinches. Great word. Love the chinches. Not the
There's probably
chinches, but
lots
the
of
word
them.
chinches.
There's probably lots of them in Rancho Cucamonga. No, just I just wanted to say Rancho Cucamonga. There's probably no bed bugs there. Don't kill me.
We haven't had Brightline news in a while, so Mark's on withdrawals. So a quick update from Slots of Fun, and they've done a lot over the last year there. They've done some renovations. I mean, it's funny because it doesn't look very different on the inside. I mean, the machine mix has changed and stuff, but the carpet's the same, the paint's the same, so it doesn't look all that different. But they added all the coin slots from Circus Circus there, and now they're adding Skeeball. I think they might have had this in the past, but this is just a mixture of weird things in there now.
Yeah, I don't understand why they pulled everything out and then like didn't do anything really. They just kind of like put it back in a different. It just seems like it took a long time to do whole lot of nothing. We've talked about it. I love it. I think it's a great little place, especially on the north end of the strip where you have Resorts World and you have Fontainebleau, and it's kind of like more high end, and there's nothing like kind of fun and low end or cheap there. So this kind of gives you that respite from it, where you can go across the street and have a little bit of fun and go back to your hoity-toityness. But yeah, I think adding a little more arcade games and stuff is kind of fun, and dollar beers or $2 beers and hot dogs and all that stuff.
It's lots of fun. Trashy the way Vegas used to be.
Yes, that should be a t-shirt, man.
Yeah, I love it. So yeah, go in there, play some skee ball, do all the other stuff. I don't know what they're doing. They're just mixing things up and trying to figure out, I guess, how to draw people in as they walk between Fontainebleau and Resorts World. But always good to see the love and the carpet. I love that carpet. It's old school. It's very
Sturdy,
much
but
not modern. Yeah, it's
good.
beautiful though. Beautiful. When I went to G2E, I drove on the strip, and now is really F1 construction is starting to happen. And you probably want to avoid a lot of the areas where the track is because light installation's happening. Here's what it looks like over on Spring Mountain, pretty much fully engulfed in the lights and in the construction. So just watch that. They're not repaving anything, but all that light installation does block roads and it makes it kind of ugly.
Yeah, it feels like a steel cage match at points when you're driving through areas, and feels like you're in a UFC fight with your car or something. I don't know, Twisted Metal type game situation. So I think if you've never seen it, it's worth going. Maybe worth taking it on the chin and spending some time in traffic to witness it. But yeah, avoid it if you've seen it before.
So let's talk slots. G2E is the largest gaming conference in the world. This is where all of the people in the gaming industry come together. And what's really interesting over the last couple of years, the first time I went as traditional media. They didn't have an influencer media. And I am traditional media, but I do kind of straddle both lines with influencers. And they've added this influencer media thing. So the last couple of years, you're an influencer media. But this year, they added an influencer media lounge right on the show floor. So they're really treating us well.
Yeah, I mean, they want all the live streams and stuff like that. And so I can see why they would do it. And we've seen casinos kind of lean into this too. And they want to show the slot play and everything. So I think it's just good to the game makers to get people excited about all these things. That pushes casinos to add them and bring them in. So it's kind of like a circular, I don't know, circle of life, Lion King moment there.
Yeah, I think this is 100% tied to the explosion in slot channels. Not so much what we do, but they're nice enough to include us. In fact, they invited me to go in there and do it. I hadn't registered, and they invited me in there. So they really are sort of looking at social media. So it's very interesting, I think, from a consumer perspective on how the industry is starting to work with people on YouTube and elsewhere. And you'll probably see more in that across people's content. But yeah, so they had the influencer lounge, no other lounge for anybody else. So we were special there. Some takeaways, there's not a lot new going on. It's just these games are getting more and more complicated. I saw a lot of versions of games that are already on the casino floors where the next version just has another wheel or another weird bonus or other things that make it more volatile, less line pays, but just make it so over the top. There is so much going on in these machines today on the floor, and then tomorrow it's even more.
Yeah, and I think this just goes away. Like we've said, less and less line plays. It's all about the bonus, and now it's going to be like 4 different bonuses. And can you get it up to the next level? I don't know, maybe. And we've talked about this before. They've lost kind of the scope of things, or they've lost ideas, and they're just kind of like juicing up. And we see this in Hollywood too. Like they just remake old movies because they can't come up with a new storyline. And this kind of feels like that's where we're at, like a stagnant slot idea area where they're just, oh, let's add like another thing on top and make this taller or bigger, and not really bringing in new ideas.
Yeah, one example of that, and everybody knows, you go into a casino, you see the Buffalo slots from Aristocrat, and there's 20 different versions of that. And it seems like Light and Wonder is trying to do the same thing with their Huff N Puff machines. That started as like Huff N Puff, and then there was Huff and Even More Puff where they added a wheel. Mark is laughing, and it's hilarious. I just had to cut something out, but I can't keep all the names of the Huff N Puff games straight. But they started with the regular Huff N Puff, which just had a regular bonus. Then they added a wheel on the next version, then 2 wheels on the next version. And Huff and Even More Puff Grand is the next version where it has 3 wheels, and now they added palaces. And there's even more of that. I think there's 9 different Huff and Puff versions, either out or coming out. So you're going to see that all over the floor. And we're seeing more of that, just kind of duplicate things. But for all of you Buffalo lovers out there, Eagle is finally getting its own slot machine. I know, Mark, this is going way over your head, but there's different animals in the Buffalo games. Eagle has been number 2 for 20 years that this game has been around. And finally, they're making an Eagle slot machine where Buffalo is nowhere to be seen.
I mean, okay.
I know all the slot people are just like, I mean, people out there are just going out of their seats right now. They're just, they can't really take it at all. But another,
That sounded horrible.
so another takeaway was this sign that I saw that said $37 billion are lost by casinos every year in free play. This sort of shows you the perspective of this show, which is a gaming show for gaming companies. And this company basically teaches casinos how to give out less free play. We've talked about how technology is the enemy here and how they're getting more efficient in deciding which offers to get you. And it's all more nuanced based on your play and a lot more of what you're doing specifically. And that's what this software is. 37 billion. I just love the perspective that the casinos are losing $37 billion.
Yeah, but we all know that turned into a whole bunch of profit because people come in to play that and then end up putting their own money in after it, chasing it and everything like that. So some people play it right, others don't. But we saw this, with MGM last week of canceling people's stays and everything if they're an advantage player. And a lot of that is the technology that they have now that can track that down. It was probably harder back in the day unless you had somebody eye in the sky watching this person and noticing them over and over again. They probably didn't really connect the dots. Where they can do that now, a computer program probably does it for them just on play and how much above, variance they are and all that type of thing.
So as people have been watching this, they've been watching some of my footage from G2E. It's not the best quality. Sometimes it's a little tight because there's a lot of people around, so you can't even stand a few feet back from a machine if you're filming. And the other thing is there is no filming on the floor at G2E unless you're media with permission of the booth. And that gets very complicated because there's not a lot of media around, maybe a couple hundred people out of thousands and thousands at the show. So the minute you start filming in a booth, you get bombarded by security guards telling you to stop until they look at your badge, say it's okay. I even had the same security guard stop me a minute apart. He was apologetic, but and there was 5 or 6 or 7 guards in each booth. So basically, as you start filming, every single guard in that booth is going to cycle through and tell you to stop, and then they'll look at your badge and say it's okay. So I didn't get all the best footage because I got a little nerve-wracked having to stop every few seconds. But the show is really friendly. And on one hand, I don't understand why they're preventing people from filming. Obviously, you put a booth out and all of your competitors are in the same place and they're all coming to play your games, and maybe you don't want them to film it. But most of these games are variations of what's on the floor, very few top secret things. And the top secret things are in private rooms. They're not out on the show floor, but they're very serious about security here.
Yeah, you just wanted a reason to bash security guards once again. I get it. I mean, they're the worst. No, I'm just kidding. They're just doing their job, and I think we all understand that. But it is weird. Like, you want people in here to get a buzz about your games, but then you don't want anybody to video the gameplay. But if you are media, you can video. Like, what's the difference? If you're media, you video it, you put it on YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, whatever, then they can watch that again. It's not like it's a one-off or, a Snapchat or something. So I don't understand what the purpose is here. These are all games that are close to coming out anyway, or will be like, are already shipping type of stuff. So it's not like they're going to have time to break this down and cut you off or anything. It's just weird and over the top.
2 more things to add. One, the security guards were all awesome, actually. All super friendly. Like, not even
they didn't
a
work for
single
a casino.
Yeah, I guess. But they were all great. So I don't have any complaints about them. They were just doing their job and trying. There's so many people pulling out phones trying to film. They're constantly just going around telling people to stop. That's basically what happened. And last year it was even worse because I did have the media badge and I was told to stop filming almost everywhere and, almost threatened. So this year was much better. All good. That's there.
The lounge gets you right there.
Yeah. Now we got the lounge. Take it in your face, people. We got the lounge. But this story, I mean, maybe this is why they don't want to do it. And this is a story that came out in the last few weeks of Dragon Train. This is a new Light and Wonder slot machine that the courts have deemed is very similar to Dragon Link, which is from Aristocrat. Aristocrat sued and they won an injunction, and basically 2,200 of these Dragon Train machines are going to have to be removed from casinos in the US over the next couple weeks. Two people from Aristocrat went over to Light and Wonder, and they're saying that they took some of the elements. Very similar games, although a little different, but the court decided they're the same. So I guess maybe they have some basis for this security stuff.
Here's their chance. They can turn it into Eagle Train and be done. There you go.
Exactly. We need the Eagle Train. Come on, the Eagle just takes over everything. And what do you think they replace? So you get rid of the buffalo and then you add the eagle goes to the top. What do you think they replace down at the bottom? What kind of animal?
Lizard.
No, a fish. It's a fish. I don't understand it. Doesn't make any sense.
The eagle eats the fish. There you go. That's why. Top of the pyramid, bottom of the pyramid.
So that's a lot of slot talk, but a lot of interesting things happening. You're going to see changes, Huff and Puff everywhere on the casino floor, less free play, bigger machines, bigger screens. And here is what I'll close with: the most complicated slot machine I saw on the casino floor, 10 reels. So this is like a single line, 3-reel slot machine with 10 different games going on at once.
Yeah, that seems a bit crazy, but it's kind of like, you know, the video poker where you're playing multi-hand video poker. This is just that. So it's just a way for you to, instead of, you know, making your money go through 100 spins, it's going to go through 10 spins. I think it's just a way for them to get at your money quicker.
Yeah, and we see the 4 often on the floors, and this is 10. It's a little different, interesting, unique to play, but like you say, it drains the money pretty quickly. But lots of cool stuff coming to the casino floors over the next 6 months, a year. A lot of this stuff will be out soon. And if you're ever in Vegas this time of year, the Venetian is a good place to go because that's where the G2E is. And a lot of these new games that are coming on the floors right now, they'll install them at the Venetian for the convention. So there's a ton of them in Palazzo and Venetian on the casino floor. So it's a good time to check out new games there as well.
You don't want to talk about the one that's like a seat that you sit in and play or what? I don't know where they're going to find space for that.
So that went sort of viral on Twitter. I shared that, and follow me at MTM Vegas on Twitter. But yeah, it's like a big recliner chair and there's a screen where the seat is and there's buttons so you can control the whole slot machine. And then it has this giant screen beyond you. They're huge. They take up a lot of space. Mark Meltzer said on Twitter that they've been there for several years. And then I look back and I had seen them there last year. So it's not anything new. And I don't know if any casinos ever bought one of these because I've never seen one, but I could see a certain demographic loving this thing.
Should put it like in that little spot at the Flamingo bar in between the two walls, and then at least it would be comfortable. Yeah, I don't know why. This just makes it like lazy gambling. I don't know. You could eat your dinner easier while you gamble. It seems weird, and it would take up so much space. Maybe in a couple spots where it's not high foot traffic and people just want to kind of relax and gamble, I could see it making sense. But yeah, it's not going to work most places.
And it's so funny because that video, Las Vegas Locally shared it. It's been viewed over 1 million times of Jasmine in that seat. And a lot of people compared her to like Wall-E, saying that it would look like the future with Wall-E with everybody in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
So thank you. That's her big thanks for being my assistant and allowing me to film and joining me there, is she gets to be compared to Wall-E.
Yeah, that's kind of the visual that you get, though. It's funny. Like, oh, we're so late. We can't even sit up straight to play our slots anymore. We got to relax.
Yeah, she's over there like hunched over, banging the buttons, and yeah, didn't know that I was going to share that. So good times at G2E, lots of slot stuff. Let us know what you guys think about anything we talked about. That Dragon Train lawsuit, had you heard about that? Do you like that game? Everything else we talked about at G2E, some of these crazy new slot machines, less free play, everything else we discussed, Skeeball over at Slots of Fun. Leave a comment. We do 2 shows a week, Tuesdays and Fridays, and we'll be back in a couple days with another show. Thanks so much for watching. Talk to you next time.
Have a good week, everybody.
More Puff, where they added a wheel, and then there was Huff and, wait. I forgot all the names. I'll just...
Huff and Muffin, Muffin, Puffin, Puffin,
Yeah,
Muffin.
It's hilarious.